Lovely to see you this fine morning. Well, afternoon now. I'm usually doing these in the morning, so I'm always in morning mode. But it's 12:30, and I hope you found a nice little space in your day to join us. I am Sarah Wilson, and if you have joined me a few times on these calls, you'll know that I'm the National Training Manager for the Life Coaching School and the Hypnotherapy School as well. And today I am joined by the beautiful and amazing Christine Walter. Christine is our head life coaching trainer and has been our hypnotherapy trainer as well for a long time. And today we're going to find out a little bit more about her story, and she has promised to share one of her favourite techniques with us as well. So welcome, Christine. Lovely to see you this morning.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. And it's nice to see some people I don't know. We haven't met yet, so hi.
Yeah, welcome. So you're going to be doing the life coaching course next week in Tauranga. So I'm really excited to see, the people that are attending for that and get their feedback on the wonderful week. And, reflecting back on the week that I spent with you way back when I did the life coaching course, it still now has, it affects me every day, I think. I use something from it every single day. So I just want to give you my thanks as well for spending that week sharing your knowledge with us in such a profound way. It was magical. But I want to know a little bit more about your story, really, and why coaching is such a fundamental part of your life now.
Thank you. And I'm going to take you way back. And as we often find when we're coaching, things start in childhood. I had a really loving childhood. I was happy. I was well looked after, the parents that cared. But it's those little things that are said, and what I want you to remember is that we don't have a conscious filter between 0 to 6 or 0 to 7. That's our conscious mind's developing, and it's those little things that are said. So I grew up with a father who got mathematics really easily. Not my best friend, not my dad, maths. I had a highly intelligent sister, and maths was a nightmare to me. Dad could see the patterns, I couldn't see the things. So I had a childhood history of, and my father's a perfectionist. So every night we had to do times tables in a table, and he'd set the clock and I'd have to do, get so many right. And it started with, if I didn't draw the graph straight, the tears started there. So long story short, at least 2 years of my life, every night was a drama. It was tears. I'm an emotional person. Dad isn't. Then I had a sister 5 years older than me that was using big words and go, you don't know what that word means. So I had this story of I'm stupid and my self-worth was down. Fast forward teenage years, yes, that played out, and the people I dated or the people I tried to hang out with, I wanted to belong. And it continued through life. We're going to fast forward into, luckily I married a really nice man, totally broke my mold, and who supported me. And it wasn't until I was late 30s, early 40s, I had 2 children, I'd had 2 bouts of depression, that I started to work this thing out. And I have never looked back. And that, long story short, is why I coach, because change is possible when you're prepared to heal the past. When I understood that what Dad really wanted for me, it wasn't because he didn't like me, it wasn't because he was awful, he was a very strict man, it was because he loved me and he wanted the best for me, and everything was about us girls doing well, So when I saw that from an adult world, but I had to go back and regress to do that, and so that, along with some other NLP techniques, changed my world, changed my life. So one of the things that I've done, as you know, Sarah, I'm passionate about neuro-linguistic programming. I'm an NLP-trained trainer, and that's how much I love it. But one of the simple things I did was I took the 17, 18 presuppositions of NLP, and they became my rules for life. And
because I don't know if these ladies know anything about NLP, can you just give us a little kind of overview of what NLP is, and maybe share some of those presuppositions with us?
Sure, absolutely. So neuro-linguistic programming, created 1970s by Bandler and Grinder. Bandler was a psychologist student. Grinder is a professor in linguistic influencing, for want of a better word. They studied some of the experts, Milton Erickson, Virginia Satir, Gregory Bateson, Fritz Perls, and they said, what makes these people great at what they do? Now, as you know, we learned that Milton Erickson had language patterns that cut through the conscious thinking into the unconscious mind. The unconscious mind's our driver. So there's a quicker thing was neuro is the brain, linguistics, the language we use both externally and internally. Unconscious mind is always listening. Programming, how we do being ourselves. So when we understand how we do being ourselves and it's not working, when we become self-reflective, we can go, well, that doesn't work. How can I change that? So it's got cognitive behavior therapy in it. It's got all sorts of techniques, and it's got understanding how we use our senses to communicate, understanding that communication's a two-way thing. So you talk about communication, language patterns. One of the things that as a coach, the meta model questioning, profound, because that, as you know, that cuts you through all the story. So I was working with someone yesterday, and the person said, it's important to me that I matter. That's a very global, generalized statement. And so my simple question was, to whom? Because I know running in her unconscious mind, she doesn't want to matter to the world. She's got some specific people that go, I need to matter to them, to them, to them. And my to whom broke it straight down into let's get, So very quick, I apologize. It's NLP. Joseph O'Connor, I think it was, put it in briefly. It's about understanding what you want, taking action to get it, and using your sensory acuity and your flexibility to make your outcomes what you want. That's it in a nutshell.
And I think that's what is such a good tool for coaching, because it has the outcome focus. It is solution focused. It's, driving you towards where you want to be rather than where you are right now.
Exactly. And it helps you to take ownership of who you are and your role. So when I'm not communicating to my husband very well, I take the ownership for that. The other day, I bitted him, so all the skills in the world, and it just gets me on the wrong, and I just fired back. And he goes, oh, so I don't get a choice. I went, yeah, I didn't do that exactly right, but I can take ownership for that. Whereas before, people might just point the finger. It's always away from. Carl Jung said that we're often very good at pointing out what we don't like in other people. That's because we run that same program, but it's easier to have a scapegoat than to look at the man in the mirror. So I always start with the man in the mirror, and that was one of my fundamental learnings, was start with the person in the mirror. If somebody annoys you, it's not them annoying you, it's you allowing them to push that button. So what is the button that needs addressing so that it doesn't get pushed again? It all comes back into intercepting myself. So those were, some of the fundamental things. Some of the presuppositions. So what I'm talking about is that a presupposition is a linguistic assumption. It isn't true, but we take it as a belief that's true. So remember, in coaching, that we say our beliefs as truth doesn't make them true. So our job as a coach is to challenge unresourceful beliefs or beliefs that hold us back. So the presuppositions, I'll get most of them. Everybody has their own map of the world. Respect the person's map of the world. The map is not the territory. So what you see isn't the whole person. People are not their behavior. The most important thing about the person is how they're behaving. Calibrate on that. Everybody's doing the best with the resources they have.
That's one of my favourites. I love that.
Isn't it? Oh, that's a lifesaver when you're managing people, believe me. All behaviour has a positive intention. I love that
Another
one.
one of my favorites, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the
Is
law
it
of
changes the way you talk to yourself as well. Like it changes your whole relationship with, you know, we have these parts of us that are not, you know, we kind of like externally go, I hate that part of myself that, you know, hasn't got any control around chocolate, or I hate that part of myself that, you know, can't get the motivation to go for a run, whatever it is. And then once we kind of talk to those parts or invite them in and listen to what they're actually saying, which is, you need, maybe the chocolate part is, you need something that cheers you up, or you need to have a bit of a sit down and a relax with your family. That's a
But
cool thing to
usually
do.
getting some other emotion out, you know. Yeah. I'm a closet eater. If you don't see me eat it, I haven't eaten it. Yeah, I have a long history in the battle of waves. It's just like, I know myself now, though. So
Well,
where were we up
you
to?
know, I'm really excited. I'm glad you mentioned the weight, because I'm also really excited because you're going to be doing a wonderful weight, what's it called? Emotional weight loss
Emotional weight management
program that's going to be coming out at the beginning of next year. So I think,
yes,
you know, the emotional part of that, the cognitive part of that, and a lot of the coaches that we train work in that area of helping people to understand how their minds work around food and the choices that we make around that. So I think it's
what
going
I'm
to be
doing,
one.
as you know, I'm revamping that at the moment, and so we're going to bring some heart intuition into it as well. So I'm getting quite excited about that, and I'm trialing it on myself. So I like to trial things to make sure they work, you know. So yes, I brought that out, and yeah, I'm getting quite excited about that and being heart centered. Yeah. So so
Tell
that's a
me
bit of my
about the
history.
heart centered approach, because you know, we've talked about that a wee bit over the past little while, about bringing it back to the heart. And even other people that I've been talking to on these talks, it seems to be a real theme at the moment that we are really getting in touch with what our heart is saying to us, and that communication. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
I certainly can. Heart is a learning brain. It's got, top of my head, something like about approximately 90,000 to 100,000 neurons, glial cells, everything. It is a learning brain. Scientifically, it is a brain. It's the smallest brain in our body. It is the most powerful, because when we emote from the heart, we send out electromagnetic waves that impact other people. So when we talk about creating that space, holding that space, what we're saying is, I'm getting compassionate in my heart and I'm sending those waves out to touch you. Now, heart math have been able to measure the waves of different emotions, and they measured anger. And we know that if we get, Colchester, get a few angry people, a mob going in, they can impact the whole group. That's because they're sending those electromagnetic waves external and touching people. Now, heart math measured that, and it peaks at around about 100, 150, whatever it is they're measuring on. Can't remember the science words. I'm not a scientist. When they did gratitude, I think it was gratitude. It's either gratitude or compassion. That peaked at 750. 150, 750. So compassion will override anger. If you sit there with a compassionate heart, you can override the anger. Our heart is our center of our emotions. Our sense of belonging is a heartfelt thing. All our emotions sit within our heart. And actually, we think that our thoughts are the driver and they impact our body. Yes, they can. But our heart communicates 80% to our brain and our head brain, and our head brain only communicates 20% back downwards. So our heart actually communicates more up. So very much about, we were talking before we opened, let people in, hand on heart. How do I feel? The power of the heart. You try and tell a lie with your hand on your heart. It feels weird. Yeah, it's hard. And each hand is a different thing, but often we put their right hand on and then just try and, tell a lie with it, and it doesn't feel right, because this is our heart center. We're in a head-based education world, I'm very heart gut driven. Why didn't I do well at school? Because it wasn't working how I wanted. Our head it's there to create, it's there to make plans, it's there to logically think. But what we're trying to do in this world is make logical thinking of things that belong to the heart. And our heart, if we do it too long, our heart feels like it's not heard. And so when we put our hand on our heart, or I've taken the practice of just lying in bed, putting my hand on my heart and talking to my heart. How are you doing today? I really appreciate what you do. It sounds a bit weird, I know. But what I'm wanting to do is get so in touch with my heart that I don't even have to touch it to feel it beat, just because that's how much I want to connect. I'm a heart-driven person. So that's why I do what I do. That's why I coach. I want to make a difference. I want to be a ripple. I often say to people that I train is our job is to make ourselves redundant as quickly as possible. Our job is to help people find their own resources, find their own strength, find their own voice, and find their own self-belief to get on with their life so that you can step back and go, well done, you. Our job is not to keep a client for as long as we can. I think that's unethical. Our job is to make ourselves redundant, because that means you're doing a good job. So when my clients go, Christine, I think I've got it, I'm just like, you go, and you know where to find me if you want me. Yeah, because our values are the things we'll fall on the sword for. They're heartfelt.
And I think because of that, you're working from that heart space and you're sending out that energy. I know my belief is that attracts the right clients to you. The people that need you find you. The people that you're supposed to be helping turn up at your door or are referred through people. And there's so many magical stories I can tell you about people just, connecting in strange ways. And it's just being the most perfect catalyst for them to make amazing changes in their lives. Do you have a particular client that stands out for you that has a particular
I have a number
story? Yeah,
I have a number. All my clients are favorites. It's funny because as soon as you said that, it was a hypnotherapy chap. He was 12 years old and we were working on bedwetting. And he was the most delightful little character. And in contrast, I've had a 12-year-old girl who was my five sessions of nightmare. Beautiful girl, very, very smart, very intelligent, didn't want to change. This young chap wanted to change. But he was one of those lovely lads where he was so open to things. And once he got the rhythm of what we were doing, he'd walk in, he'd go, I'm going to lie down, Christine. And he'd lie on the floor and he would go into a beautiful hypnosis. And the thing is, and I think this is an important point about coaching too, is we don't know everything. And this 12-year-old, I was trying to get in what are your interests so I can talk in his world. And he started talking about Minecraft. And oh, what's Minecraft? Did a Google. He started telling me about how it's a sandbox. He said, do you know what a sandbox is? Oh, I know, I had one at kindy, mate. He told me about sandboxing and computing. We don't have to know everything. When we turn our ears on and we listen, we learn so much from the people that we're supposed to be teaching. And so he taught me about sandboxing. So now I could talk to him in that world. So I don't get Minecraft. He was just such a delightful, likeable, open-hearted young chap. He's going to go far. You want to know the outcome? 6 sessions. I believe we've nailed it. Yeah. Yeah, he was off to America.
I think some of those clients, I had one client who I never heard back from until about a year and a half later. And she came to get some more sessions, and I was like, oh, how's everything going? And she was like, oh, well, this has happened and this has happened and this has happened. And I was like, oh, that's amazing and wonderful. And I wish I'd known sooner, because that would have really boosted me up, because I was right at the beginning then.
Absolutely. Which reminds me of to mention something else. I have a lot of people go, but how do I know I'm making a difference, Christine? You trust. You trust that you're making a difference. Some people you will never see again. You trust that you're making a difference. You've given 100%. I know that even if it's the most simplest thing, I know if you took one or two of the presuppositions of some of the ones I've just recited and you made that, let's live a week like this and see what the difference is, it would make a difference. It could be as simple as that. Unconscious mind's always listening. So I had a client come to me just a few months ago. I last saw her in 2015 to stop smoking, and then something's happened. I was first on her list. And I knew straight away who she was. So one of the things is you don't forget many of your clients, do you? There's always that link. And I said, you hurt your shoulder. How's your shoulder going? And how special did she feel when I could immediately, took me a little bit. I went, oh yeah, I remember you hurt your shoulder. How's that? We sit with compassion and we sit with regard and care for the people we work with. If we fill our room and we open that heart up full of compassion, then we're already making a difference because we're letting them be them. Don't judge. We've all got our own story. No judgment. Just, I'm sorry that happened for you. So what can we do that makes a difference?
And I know as well that, your passion for coaching has led you on to form Anne's Cow, and, so that we do have these measures of good coaching out there, that we can have representation for, people who are coaches and who want to have an industry that people can trust, because it's, I think it's one of the most important things that we have someone that holds us to account and said, this is the standards that we want you to meet. So tell us a little bit about why that's a passion for you.
We're in an unlegislated industry. So if some shark goes out there and does a bad job, it impacts on all life coaches. We can only do the best that we can. If we work with integrity, it will at least make a difference. So there was an opening in 2017, and I'll be honest, I didn't want to take it. I wanted somebody else to do the hard money, but nobody was stepping forward. Now, one of my beliefs is you put your money where your mouth is. You walk your talk. So I'm a coach that I will walk my talk. I won't ask you to do anything I'm not prepared to do. So I'm sitting there waiting for someone to fill a void. Didn't happen. So I went, well, Christine, you're going to step up to the batter's box. And that's what I did. And then I quickly, I had a friend I'd only actually met for 15 minutes, but I had a few phone conversations with, and he said, shall I come in too? And the reason I didn't want to take it on is that, as you know, Sarah, my daughter was unwell, and I could see that at some point I wouldn't be able to tend to the business because she would need me. So I said to this person, initially I told him no, and then I rang him a week later and said, yeah, I think I need you to come on. So that's Paul Walmsley. So we've developed this, what we think, and I mean, we're just like everybody else, we're learning as we go. But what we did was we went, well, what makes a good coach? And we haven't called it the code of conduct, it's the code of conscience. And this is our bottom line ruling. Yeah. These are the rules, and we will bring you in on that code of conscience, and we will expel you if we have to on those code of conscience, because that is our ethics. We understand our values. Our values is about, it's very much co-creativity. It's, in fact, our tagline is realizing our potential together. What that's saying is we don't know everything. We're still learning. Together is where we make that difference. So I talk about being a ripple, but if we all ripple together, we become the tidal wave. The tidal wave's just millions of ripples, isn't it? All moving in the same direction.
I love that. That's a really cool analogy.
So if we all work ethically and we all have a bar, and people can go on our website and go, well, this person obviously meets the minimum standard, and the minimum standards are there. And then it's about, we're not a professional development agency. We encourage professional development. We do master classes and we do little workshops, but we're not a professional development agency. We're about helping you to continually improve, continually get even better. So we brought out some new standards as well. We've got recognised courses as well as accredited courses. So those people, it might not meet our accreditation standards, but this person is a great presenter. Steph Holloway has got a recognised course with us. They're a professional deliverer. Their course is to a good standard. And believe me, I've spent hours vetting it to make sure it makes that standard and giving feedback. And then they have to give us annual feedback on how it went, so that if they apply for recognition, we've got, well, what did you change? Because like coaching and like personal self, we're never complete. We're a being, aren't we? We're a continual
Absolutely.
changing
We're
it.
continuously
And being.
evolving, blossoming, if you will.
Yeah, if you say be, you're there. But when we're being, yeah, we're evolving, you're right. So
Yes.
hand scalp is an absolute passion of mine. It's yes, there's a registration fee, but believe me, a lot of my time's volunteered. Because again,
I'm
it's
so
just
glad you
aware
did
of
it.
it.
It's such a amazing thing for coaching in New Zealand and Australia that we've got this this bar that's been set that says this is what we want coaching to be, and to constantly lift coaching as a profession up is amazing.
Absolutely.
Now, will you share with us one of your favorite techniques quickly?
Quickly, how long have I got? Tell me how long I've got and I'll decide what I've got.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. All right, great. We're doing the simple one. I can highly recommend a website called Positive Psychology. They give away free stuff, and their books, $17 each or something. There's some average resources, there's some great resources. I found this, so I'm going to share screen. Bear with while I just do this. And we're going to go to there. Righty. This is a very simple tool I give my clients. Our story impacts our autonomic nervous system, our sympathetic and our parasympathetic nervous system. When we write an unresourceful story, it impacts our body. When we write a resourceful story, it impacts our body. Remember, our stories we state as beliefs and truths. It doesn't make them true. So what I do is I've got this on a piece of paper, and I pull it out and I go, okay, what are you telling yourself? What are your beliefs? So this one you've got on the screen, you can have up to 3 beliefs. It might be, one of my ones, I'm stupid. When I've got a sister with triple degrees with honours and I don't have one, that's what we were competing with. I believed I was stupid. I believed I wasn't good enough. I believed that I didn't match up to other people, as an example. So when we write that belief, I really like them to go, well, how does it make you feel? What's the emotion you're feeling? I had a time in my life where I couldn't find an emotion to go how I feel. I felt so inadequate. So I actually have a box of over 100 different emotions people can flick through if they can't find a word for it. Give it an emotion. When you can name it, you can tame it. So I might have felt unworthy, my emotion. What are the consequences of me feeling this way? You ladies wouldn't have heard me say this, but when the people I train often hear me say, first comes awareness, then comes choice. If you're not aware, you can't choose. There's always a choice. So when we acknowledge the thought, we give it an emotion potentially, and then the consequences of me having this emotion, and get them to write them down in detail. It means that I keep putting myself down. It means that I don't push myself forward. It means whatever it means. We now start to be aware of the consequences, because we go about through life just doing. But when we bring awareness to it, we can start interrupting patterns. And that's what it's all about, rewriting unconscious programming. So then I'll go, okay, so when you feel like this, and this is the consequence, when you notice what you're doing, what can you do differently? And we put in new strategies. Now, just because we've named the strategies doesn't mean, oh, well, now I'm fixed. No, it's about being aware. Sometimes you go down the rabbit hole and you do the doing, but then as soon as you go, oh, I'm doing that behavior again, let me change. Now, what did I promise to do instead? We're starting to rewrite our neurology, the way we do it, we're creating new pathways, new neurons, lighting them up, and we can eventually override these feelings. Now, believe me, I do that in line with other techniques, but this is a beautiful, simple one to bring that self-awareness. Now, I've got a client that I did this with, highly strung, keeps flying off, very emotional. And this simple exercise as her home play has made a huge difference. And in fact, she refers me to other people now. And this was one of the most simple things that I did with her. But she's become aware. Oh, God, I'm doing it again. Right. Breathe. I always go breathe. Breathe. Because when we can balance our breathing, we can clear our thoughts. We can only have one thought at any one time. So if we start breaking down, oh, how is this making me feeling? What's the emotion? What's the consequences of this? We've already interrupted the thought. We can't run it. Yeah. How does that make me feel? What can I do to change this feeling? I often go, for me, if I take it a step further, I'll go, well, how do you do that feeling? When I'm nervous, when I'm anxious, my stomach rotates, and my stomach rotates in this direction. Yep, turns. So what I can do is I can stop and go, oh, my stomach's turning. Now, if I don't sit there and I go, okay, what do you want to tell me? If I know it's just nerves coming on to an interview, what I'll do is I'll notice the way it's moving, what the speed is revolving, anything else I can think about it, and then I turn it the other way. So I just simply change the turn in my mind. I just imagine it turning the other way. I might want to give it a bit of colour or a bit of lightness. So as I'm doing it, I'm going, oh, let's make it a nice pale yellow. Let's put some stars in with it. And I already feel different. Break my thought, acknowledge the feeling, change the feeling. Now I can't access that thought as strongly. Really simple.
It's such a lovely, simple way to do it. And I think, having things that you can get out in your little toolbox that you can bring out in the moment where it feels right, is because you'll come across a client, you're like, oh, that thing that Christine did, that's what she needs right now, right here. And I always think with these things as well, it's really good to practice it on yourself first.
Absolutely.
Do the exercise first, see the impact it has on your own thinking, on your own way of doing things. And then you've got that experience to give to your clients to say, well, when I did this, this is what happens. I wonder what will happen for you. I'm curious to see what you'll discover.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That's so useful.
Thank you. Thank you. And I hope go well, ladies, and to anybody else who watches this in the future, go well. Be yourself, be natural, work with an open heart, work with compassion, trust yourself, and you'll do amazing stuff. We can't solve everybody's problems. They're not ours to solve. When you open your heart, and sometimes just them talking can be the cathartic healing they need. Turn your ears on, turn your judgment off.
Are you happy to answer any questions as well, Christine? If anyone's got any quick questions, do you want to stop sharing your...
Oh, sorry. Yes. Thank you for that, because I can see myself on the screen. I forgot about it.
Yeah, lovely. So, if anyone's got any questions or wants to write anything down in the chat, feel free to do that. I can see Lee's still with us. Are you coming onto a course, Lee? Are you wanting to know any more information? Hold on, I will just ask. Yeah, I think you can unmute if I do that.
Hello. Yeah. Hi. No, I'm not coming on to a course at this stage. I just thought I'd jump on the call and see what it was all about. And I don't have any questions. I've understand a few of the concepts that you've been talking about, so it's been really interesting just to hear your perspective, Christine, on that, and a couple of the tips that you've shared around helping people to move forward and to acknowledge some of those, or become aware of some of those unhelpful beliefs and thoughts that they're having. So
I believe coaching happens everywhere and anywhere. You know, you can
Yeah.
watch the taxi driver or the person at the checkout simply
Yeah.
by having a conversation. Yeah, so coaching happens everywhere. What do you do at the moment?
I'm an accountant, and I work for an organisation remotely, which is quite nice. And I'm also involved in some not-for-profit organisations at the governance level. So, and I'm also a parent. So, yeah, as you say, coaching opportunities.
The biggest coaching job of the world.
Yeah, that is the biggest coaching job in the world.
Yeah, net that one up.
No, I've practiced some of those skills on my kids, so hopefully they found them helpful.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I'm with Sarah. Very much practice on yourself first. Get to know what it feels like, or what, you know, what's supposed to happen, or how it happened for you. Be different for other people. But I'm a firm believer in walking my talk and going, or if I'm doing a technique, my long-suffering husband, I call him, Grace, one new technique, come.
The guinea pig.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Lee. That was
Lovely to meet you, Lee.
Yeah, nice
go
to meet
well.
you.
Thank you so much, Christine, for sharing all your wonderful knowledge again with us.
Sure.
I'm sure you'll be back on as well, telling us more about your emotional weight loss program eventually. But until then, have a wonderful week, and I will catch up with you soon.
Thank you,
Sarah,
ladies.
thanks for your time. Take care.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.